I entered the sunroom, where he sat on the white sofa, hands politely folded. His black marble eyes fixed on me. I moved to the leather armchair across the table and sat. He ogled me. It was uncomfortable.
Donnie,
I said. That's what he liked to call himself, Donnie.
let me start off by saying you are an exception. And I don't use that word lightly. You are an exceptional actor.
I paused for effect. Then I forced a smile and nodded appreciatively. Donnie's eyes did not change. They registered no inflection. I wondered if there were any gears of any kind ticking behind his avalanche brow.
Our agency has reviewed your portfolio. Your experience is...
My eyes drifted to the manila file folder in my hands. It was worn and felt like flannel. It looked like it had been chewed on. The pages were torn and the ink smudged. Whoever took his headshot made no attempt to mask the tenuous dough-like flesh on Donnie's face.
Your experience is...
I wanted to be polite.
What we're looking for is an actor with a comprehensive portfolio.
The bulk of Donnie's career consisted of theatrical renditions of Frankenstein, which required neither speaking lines nor sudden movement. Recently, he'd been reduced to Geico commercials. Outside of that, he'd done a few bit parts and ballet. The last bit conjured disturbing imagery. Ballet? God, an 8.5-foot green man, barely clean, flesh barely clinging to his bones, body frame like a chimney, undulating to the music of Stravinsky and wearing a tutu? Children would have nightmares for the rest of their lives. My production was a ballet. It called for a green giant at the beginning of Act 2, and my casting agency had originally considered him for the part. The only responsibility would be to stand motionless, holding a teacup poodle. Let's be honest, who could be more perfect for the part? But the cards weren't in it for Donnie. We'd found someone else a few days earlier, made for the part according to my boss. But Donnie's interview was already set up, so I had to go through with the formalities. I closed the door and drew a breath.
However,
I watched it. No feedback.
we don't, feel that you're quite what we're looking for at this time.
I took his lack of movement and speech as an indication that he did not fully understand what I was saying.
We've decided to pass on you.
Stoic, Donnie.
We wish you all the best in your career, all good things.
I wanted to get out of there. If I walked out, would he understand?
Listen, it's always been our policy to encourage budding actors to resubmit portfolios. Maybe we'll be able to plug you into a future production.
I stood and extended my hand. Donnie's eyes followed me, but he did not move.
Thanks for your time,
I said. His weight hefted forward, and he rose to stand. His shoulders touched the ceiling, and his head hung low. I felt like a kid, a bully. He delicately took my outstretched hand and shook it. His back scraped the ceiling as he slogged towards the door. Once he was outside, his portfolio was still in my hand.
Donnie.
I offered it to him. He looked at it for a moment, as though in thought. Then he looked at me. He looked through me.
Don't you want it?
I asked. He turned and crawled out the door. Once he was outside, he stood, but he still looked confined. He walked away, heavy, as if thoroughly soaked by an unseen thundercloud. I walked to the open door and pulled it shut. As I watched him go, I idly thumbed through the file folder in my hand. On the last page, under the bold print that said "Objective," Donnie had written,
Donnie, not good.
He know.
But acting he love. Only thing
he love.
He love.
This is serious, right? My agency couldn't book him in a million years. He was too creepy. He wasn't saleable. No matter how hard he tries, he'll only ever be a monster. He didn't need his portfolio anymore. He'd given up. This was his last interview, his last attempt. I watched Donnie trudge off into the woods and through the double-paneled glass sunroom windows. I heard him cry.